Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. Homecoming to Hell. The American flag waved stiff in the coastal wind as Travis McGill stepped off the base transport van, boots crunching into the driveway of his suburban home. His back ached from the gear still strapped to him, but he felt the usual calm after deployment, until he noticed the blinds in the living room twitch, then shut. No door opened. No one ran out to hug him. His house stood quiet, unnaturally so, as if it knew something he did not. He reached the front door and used his key. Inside, the air was stale. Dim, the scent of perfume lingered, a brand he did not recognize. Then he heard it. A voice. Faint. Muffled. He followed the sound into the kitchen. The iPhone sat face down on the counter, speaker on. A woman's voice. I cannot wait until he is gone again. This is torture. Then a man's laugh. Travis stared at the device. A second phone. One he had never seen. His pulse shifted. Not spiking, tightening. Controlled. Measured. He turned it off. In the silence that followed, Travis did not speak. He did not rage. He just stood still. The kind of still that comes before something breaks. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. Travis. Renee's voice. What are you? He turned to her. She wore makeup. Too much. Her hair was done like she was on her way out. I got home early, he said. She smiled, too wide. Surprise. He studied her. Every twitch. Every flicker in her eyes. But he smiled back. Yeah. Big surprise. The lies had already begun. What else had she buried while he was gone? And what else had he come home to? 3 days passed. Renee moved like everything was normal, until Travis noticed she never once left her phone on the table anymore. But the second phone, the one from the kitchen, had been hidden, buried in the laundry hamper. That meant there were secrets, real ones. Travis began searching when she left for client showings. Behind the cabinet in the guest bathroom, under a fake cleaning bucket, he found it. The second phone. Unlocked. The screen lit up. Messages rolled in. He scrolled silently. His fingers were steady, but his throat burned. Grayson, you looked incredible last night. He has no clue, does he? Renee, none. It is like lying to a child. Sad, really. There were pictures, hotel receipts, voice memos of them mocking his schedule, his military routines, even his PTSD. Travis stared at a selfie of Grayson shirtless in his bedroom. He swallowed. Not rage. Not tears. Something colder. Later that night, Renee joked over dinner about how crazy busy her week had been. She mentioned a potential new investor looking to buy 2 duplexes. He seems really smart, she said. Worked in tech before real estate. Travis smiled gently. Maybe I should meet him. Renee paused. No need. He is just business. He chewed slowly. Nodded. That night, Travis sat in the garage under the blue glow of a desk lamp, copying the entire contents of the second phone onto an encrypted drive. This was not about heartbreak anymore. This was war. But the battlefield was his own house now, and he was already moving through it like a ghost. At dawn, Travis jogged his usual route, but slower, blending in. On his return, he saw it, a red Tesla parked 3 houses down. Not local. Fresh plates. Same one from the hotel receipts. Through his side mirror, Travis caught a man exiting Renee's SUV an hour after she left for her staging appointment. Grayson. He was wearing Travis's hoodie. Travis gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles paled, then let go. He did not confront. Not yet. Instead, he returned to base under the pretense of needing to check in with command. He met with Damien, a SEAL-turned-digital forensic expert. I need surveillance gear. Quiet. Trackable. Off record, Travis said. Damien gave a low whistle. Domestic op. Travis nodded once. You are going ghost? Not just ghost, he said. I am burning everything down. Quietly. By nightfall, hidden micro cameras were installed. GPS tags under Renee's bumper. Voice recorders disguised in power outlets. Travis monitored every room. At dinner, Renee laughed at a meme on her phone. You okay? You seem distant. Just tired, he said, sipping water. From what? He held her gaze. Just life. That night, from the attic, he watched live feed of Grayson entering his home again, kissing Renee, drinking his whiskey. Grayson, he is pathetic. You are basically a widow. Renee, soon enough. Travis shut the laptop. He closed his eyes. This was not revenge. It was justice, and he had only just begun. The next morning, Travis stood outside trimming the hedges, deliberately facing the driveway when Renee pulled in. She stepped out of the car, sunglasses on, lips still flushed with color. Her phone was in her hand, typing fast. Busy morning? Travis asked, casual. Renee paused, smiled that rehearsed smile. You know how buyers are. Never on time. She walked past him without waiting for a reply. But her scent lingered. Travis noted everything. How she moved, how she avoided eye contact, how she adjusted her dress like she had just fixed it in a rush. Inside, he watched the camera feed from the hallway. 2 hours earlier, Grayson had used the key under the mat, same as before. They had not even tried to hide it. Later that night, Travis joined her in the living room. Renee was curled up with wine, watching a show on mute, her phone lighting up every few seconds. You remember Carson Heller from high school? She asked. Football team. Travis replied. Yeah, he is doing well now. Saw him in town today. He nodded slowly. Is that who you met today? Renee blinked. What? No. I told you I had showings. I must have heard you wrong. He smiled gently. Just glad you are reconnecting. She relaxed, took another sip of wine. That night, Travis edited together a short clip from the hallway camera. Grayson's hand sliding along Renee's waist. Her laugh echoing in the kitchen. He saved it in a folder labeled Asset 01, Weak Point. He was not just watching anymore. He was mapping. Because the moment they thought he was too weak to notice would be the moment they gave him everything he needed. 2 weeks passed. Travis kept up the act, friendly, calm, even affectionate. Renee fell right into it. The tension in her body loosened. Her phone came back out in the open. She started humming again in the mornings. She believed he was emotionally defeated. But each day, Travis refined the plan. He reconnected with Jen, the therapist. This time not for sessions, but for background help. I need a referral, he said. Someone who understands financial forensics. Jen hesitated. Are you planning something illegal? No, Travis replied. But I am going to expose everything. And I need to do it the right way. She gave him a contact. A forensic accountant who used to work military cases. Meanwhile, Damien helped upgrade the tech. Motion triggers. Facial recognition. Keyloggers synced to the home network. Every file, every message, every call, duplicated and stored on encrypted drives. One evening, while Renee was in the shower, Travis walked into the bedroom. Her laptop was open. He clicked through the folders. One stood out, legal plan. Inside, divorce documents. Dated 6 months ago. Fake claims of abuse. Emotional distress. Claims that Travis refused to seek treatment for PTSD. He stared at the screen. Not a flinch. Not a blink. He copied it. When Renee came out wrapped in a towel, he smiled and offered to make her tea. Babe, she said, brushing past him. You have been really sweet lately. I appreciate it. Travis nodded. Trying my best. She kissed him. It meant nothing. Later, he sat in the garage, added the documents to the master folder, Operation Fallback. This was no longer about cheating. This was about betrayal in its final, ugliest form. One late afternoon, Travis was raking leaves when Irene, the retired schoolteacher next door, called out from her porch. You got a minute, Travis? He walked over, gloves still on. Of course, ma'am. Irene leaned on the railing, her tone cautious. I did not want to meddle, but I have seen that man coming around a lot while you were away. Real fancy car. Red. Loud. He never looked like he belonged. Travis nodded. I appreciate you telling me. She hesitated. He comes in the mornings. Leaves about noon. Always parked 3 houses down. "Thank you, Irene," he said. "Please keep this between us." She gave a slow, knowing nod. "I figured you already knew. You are always so observant." That night, Travis set a drone to patrol a small air loop over the block. It captured timestamps, Grayson's patterns. The next day, Travis followed Grayson after he left the house. He tailed him to a downtown office. Nothing flashy, but expensive glass front. Titan Systems, LLC. Travis parked a block away, took photos from the dash cam. Back home, he ran the business name through a few databases. Shell Company. 2 lawsuits pending. Connections to offshore tax havens. Grayson was not just Renee's affair partner. He was a crook hiding in a clean suit. Travis closed the browser. Outside, the wind rustled the curtains in Irene's window. One neighbor. One truth. A ripple in the silence. The house felt colder that night. But Travis was warming up. He had a name. He had a face. He had a pattern. Now he needed just one mistake. And people like Grayson always made mistakes when they thought no one was watching. The morning sunlight broke through the kitchen blinds in narrow, pale stripes. Travis stood by the counter, pouring hot water into a French press, his movements deliberate, steady. He was back in the rhythm, controlled breath, calm observation. The same way he had patrolled enemy territory. But now, the enemy lived under his roof. Renee walked in, hair still wet, tapping away on her phone. "Morning," she said, yawning. "Can you grab almond milk next time? We are out." Travis nodded, stirring the coffee. "Sure." She kissed him on the cheek. A routine, not affection. Her lips were cold. She pulled away before he could react. She had already forgotten how warmth felt between them. Later that day, Travis drove to a cafe near base. He met Jen, the therapist, on her lunch break. Her eyes studied him carefully. "You look rested," she said, "but not peaceful." He leaned in, voice low. "I need your help." "But off the books." Jen hesitated. "What are we talking about, Travis?" He placed a small flash drive on the table. "Proof of an affair. And financial misconduct. I need someone who understands legal structure and how to stay 2 steps ahead." Jen stared at it, then picked it up slowly. "You are not planning violence, are you?" Travis shook his head. "No, that would be too easy. This is not about hurting someone. It is about exposing who they really are." Jen leaned back, exhaling. "I will make a call." On the way back home, Travis passed by the local school. His son, Nathan, was out front, laughing with friends. 11 years old. Brown eyes like Travis. But now, a question lingered. Was he? That night, Travis tucked Nathan in. The boy hugged him tightly. "I missed you when you were gone," he mumbled. "I missed you too, buddy," Travis whispered. Even if the boy was not biologically his, he was his. Some truths mattered more than blood. The next evening, the garage became mission control. Damien arrived just past midnight, dragging a Pelican case behind him. Inside, custom hardware, drone equipment, wireless receivers. "I upgraded the mic range," Damien said, setting up gear. "This will catch everything in real time. Even whispers." Travis nodded. "How secure is it?" "Military grade. Clean as hell." They spent hours calibrating devices. One hidden behind the living room painting. Another disguised inside a smoke detector. Grayson had a habit of bragging when he thought he was safe. Travis was going to let him talk. By 4 a.m., everything was in place. Renee returned home late that day. Makeup smudged. A red scratch along her collarbone. She looked at Travis as if unsure how much he knew or cared. "You're up early," she said, glancing at the garage door. "Just fixing a leak," Travis replied calmly. She poured wine, sat on the couch, and called Grayson. On speaker, like she wanted to be caught, but still underestimated him. "I think he suspects something," she said, giggling. Grayson's voice crackled through. "Let him. He is emotionally neutered. I have seen houseplants with more fire." Travis watched from the shadows of the hallway. The rage inside him was like ice. Frozen. Sharp. "You're playing this well," Grayson continued. "Few more weeks, and you file. Take the house. Get the kid. Full payout." Renee sipped her drink. He will not fight. He never does. Travis went back to the garage, sat down in front of the monitors, pressed record. Guess we are fighting now, he whispered. And this time, it would not be overseas. It would be here, at home, and every second of it would be documented. Travis spent the next several days collecting more than footage. He copied financial records, cross-checked phone calls. Grayson's office at Titan Systems had a fake address on corporate filings. The real office was inside a private suite above a crypto laundering front. Damien hacked the shell account logs. What he found was more than personal betrayal. There are international transfers, he said, eyes scanning the data. Offshore routing. Someone is cleaning a lot of dirty money. How much? Travis asked. Millions. At least 2 major companies involved. Travis leaned back, arms crossed. So he is not just screwing my wife. He is screwing the government. Damien looked up. You going public with this? Eventually, Travis replied. But first, I need leverage. They created a digital kill switch. If anything happened to Travis, the evidence would go to a defense journalist and 2 government watchdogs. Meanwhile, Renee was getting bolder. She moved money between their joint accounts. She added a new line of credit under Travis's name, a debt bomb waiting to explode. But he let her, because when she filed for divorce, claiming emotional abuse, the documentation would destroy her. One afternoon, Irene from next door waved him over. I hate to say it, Travis, she whispered, but she had that man over again. He parked out back, left like he had done it 100 times. I appreciate it, he said. Please keep watching. She nodded solemnly. You are a good man. She will regret this. Back home, Travis watched the camera feed. Renee and Grayson were in the bedroom, laughing about his deployment photos. You think he ever actually shot anyone? Grayson mocked. Probably just lifted boxes. Renee chuckled. He was better as a provider than a partner. Travis muted the sound. He stared at the screen, face expressionless. He was done recording. Now, he was going to start building the trap. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated with our latest stories. The attic had become a fortress of silence. Travis sat in front of 3 split screens, each showing angles from inside the house. One in the kitchen, one in the hallway outside the bedroom, and one in the garage. Renee was in the living room again, glass of red wine in hand, laughing softly over a video call. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but the new mics picked up every syllable. I told him I needed space. He actually apologized, she said. Grayson's voice crackled back. You have him completely under. You file next month and he hands you the keys. Travis watched her lean back, legs crossed, the confidence oozing from her smile. His jaw stayed locked. His fingers did not tremble. He simply hit record. He had been documenting everything. Daily logs, voice files, time-stamped entries. Even her car's GPS data now fed into his tablet, showing every lie in real time. Later that night, Renee walked into the bedroom where Travis sat reading a case file from base. You still reading that Navy stuff? She asked, slipping out of her heels. Helps me sleep, he replied. She paused. We should go out sometime. Things have been tense. Travis looked at her, eyes steady. Maybe next weekend. She nodded, already bored with the answer. She turned away, pulling off her earrings. As she walked into the bathroom, Travis slid open the drawer beside the bed. Inside, an encrypted USB drive labeled insurance. He was not trying to catch her anymore. He was preparing to bury her legally, financially, and publicly at the exact moment she thought she had won. And the moment was coming soon. By now, Grayson had become more than just a homewrecker. He was a liability. Damien's deep scan revealed connections to an old fraud investigation out of Nevada. 3 years ago, Grayson operated under a different name, Logan Reese, a startup founder turned silent partner in 2 real estate scams. He got off on a technicality, Damien said, scrolling through old court records. Federal case. Disappeared just before his partner got arrested. Travis's eyes narrowed. So he is not just a cheater. He is a career con. They cross-referenced names from Titan Systems, Grayson's current company. 3 were offshore shell owners. At least one was flagged by the Department of Treasury. It is enough to get the IRS interested, Damien added. Travis leaned forward. Good. Let them dig. But not yet. Later that evening, Renee came home wearing a dress Travis had never seen before. She hummed under her breath, poured herself a drink, and sat at the dining table scrolling through her phone. You look nice, Travis said, entering from the garage. Renee startled slightly, then smiled. Oh, thanks. Just needed to feel human. He nodded, pulling out a chair across from her. Going somewhere. Just dinner. You know, some self-care. He smiled. Take care of yourself. You deserve it. She blinked, studying his face. You are being really sweet lately. I am working on myself, he said. She reached out and touched his hand. I appreciate that. He gently squeezed her fingers. Of course. As she left that night, Travis uploaded all the documents Damien had pulled, bank records, aliases, shell company names, into a sealed folder titled Phase 2. Grayson might have fooled judges and investors in the past, but this time, he had walked into the crosshairs of a trained predator. And this mission was personal. At exactly 9 a.m. Monday morning, an envelope slid across the desk of a federal compliance officer at the IRS. No return address. Inside, a USB drive labeled Client Corruption, Titan Systems. It was not everything. Just enough. Just enough to open an audit, trigger a freeze on Grayson's accounts, and flag his identity under multiple alias alerts. Meanwhile, Travis stood on his front lawn, trimming hedges. Renee drove by in her luxury SUV, music blasting, phone in her hand. She waved. He waved back. She had no idea that the man she thought was collapsing was setting fire to everything behind the scenes. At noon, Grayson's phone lit up mid-meeting. What the hell? He muttered, scrolling his inbox. Legal inquiries. Internal compliance alerts. He stormed out of the building and called Renee. There is something weird going on with my accounts. Someone flagged the company. Renee frowned. Like what? Like frozen assets and regulatory crap. I need to figure it out. Well, do not look at me, she snapped. You are the one laundering half your profit. Grayson's eyes darted. You were not supposed to say that on the phone. Click. She hung up. At home, Travis saved the audio from that call. Every call she took was mirrored now. Each misstep became a brick in the case. Later that night, Renee slammed the front door. They are freezing his accounts. Some idiot reported him. Travis looked up from the couch. Wow, that is serious. I mean, it is probably nothing. But he is freaking out. Should I be worried? Renee scoffed. No, I have it under control. Travis smiled softly. She believed the storm was around him, but she had not yet looked up to realize she was standing at the center of it. And the lightning was just warming up. Renee returned home 2 days later with a glow Travis had not seen in months. She tossed her purse onto the couch, slipped off her heels, and placed her hand, very deliberately, on the kitchen counter. A brand new diamond ring sparkled under the overhead light. Travis looked up from his coffee. You changed your wedding ring? She laughed, almost too loud. Oh no, this is just something for fun. It is a promise ring. Travis raised an eyebrow. From who? She froze a second too long. From a friend, she said, then shrugged it off. It is not a big deal. But it was. She wanted him to see it. She wanted him to feel replaced. Irrelevant. Beaten. Instead, Travis leaned back, calm as ever. Looks expensive. He can afford it. She said quickly, then regretted it. Travis sipped his drink. That is good. You deserve someone who gives you things. She stiffened. You are being really weird lately. Almost smug. He looked her in the eye, slow and steady. Am I? She grabbed her bag. I am going to bed. The moment she was out of sight, Travis pulled the camera feed from the upstairs hallway. Grayson had entered the house earlier that day while Travis was on a base meeting. He had the ring box in his hand, left it on the nightstand like a gift. Travis clipped the footage, labeled it, bribery evidence, marital fraud. The deeper he dug, the sloppier they became. And nothing said premeditated infidelity like a new engagement ring before divorce papers were even filed. 2 nights later, Travis stood in the garage with Damien, scanning Renee's insurance paperwork. Joint account. But she moved the policy into her name only. Removed you last month, Damien said. Good, Travis replied. Time for a surprise. He made 3 anonymous calls that night. One to the DMV, one to the insurance fraud hotline, and one to the housing board. Next morning, Renee's mood turned ice cold. I got a message from my agent. Something about my policy being flagged, she asked. Travis looked genuinely surprised. That is odd. I do not need this right now. Grayson is dealing with frozen accounts, and now this. You think someone is targeting you? She gave him a sharp look. You would not know anything about that, would you? He met her gaze, calm. Renee, I can barely remember to take the trash out. Why would I be calling your insurance company? She huffed and walked off, muttering. The tension was rising now, not just between them, but around them. Her phone calls grew shorter. Her answers more clipped. Grayson had gone silent for 24 hours, then sent a single text. Lay low. Too late. By evening, a city inspector showed up asking about licensing for her home-based real estate office. Travis opened the door. You want to speak to Renee? She should be home soon. The inspector raised an eyebrow. This is the correct address? Sure is. When she came back and saw the clipboard in his hand, her expression cracked for a split second. Travis stayed quiet. He did not need to set fires. He only needed to cut the wires and watch the sparks land. Late one night, Travis sat in his home office flipping through one of Renee's old memory drives. It was something she thought he had never found, buried in a pink leather case behind tax records. Among dozens of old photos and scanned receipts, one folder stood out. Vegas 2011. Inside, pictures from a trip he never knew happened. One image froze him. Renee, holding a baby. Not Nathan. This child was lighter-skinned, slightly older than the timeline suggested. A hospital wristband visible on Renee's arm, but the father's face cropped out. The timestamp? 9 months before Nathan's birth. Travis stared at the photo for nearly 2 minutes. Then he copied it, logged the file, and added it to a folder titled Paternity Doubt. That night, he sat beside Nathan while the boy played a game on his tablet. You are good at that, Travis said softly. Nathan grinned. I practice. You know I am proud of you, right? The boy nodded, not looking up. Even if the world ever says anything different, I will still be proud. Nathan paused his game. Looked up. Did I do something wrong? No, Travis said, holding back every emotion swelling in his chest. You did everything right. After Nathan went to sleep, Travis stood alone outside under the porch light. He stared at the stars, at the silence of them. Even if the blood did not match, the heart still did. But it changed the stakes. Renee had lied not just about love, but about life. And if she could bury something this big, what else had she been willing to hide? The next morning, Travis sat at a quiet table in a local cafe. Unassuming, neutral, no cameras. Across from him sat Evelyn Morse, a forensic accountant who had once worked Navy contracts. Jen had vouched for her. She opened a leather folder. I have reviewed what you sent. Your wife has been shifting funds for over a year. Some accounts are offshore, some in crypto wallets tied to Titan systems. Travis nodded, keeping his voice low. How traceable is it? Direct enough, Evelyn said. Especially when paired with the fake legal documents and expense reports she filed under your name. If this went to court right now, you would win custody, and she would be facing real charges. Travis sat still for a moment. I needed airtight. No leaks. No missteps. She smiled faintly. You are not new to strategy. That helps. He leaned in. And I need someone who can testify, if it comes to that. I can do that. But you are playing a long game. Most people do not have the discipline. Travis looked her in the eye. I was trained not to blink in a gunfight. She closed the folder. Then she is already finished. She just does not know it yet. By evening, Travis returned home and entered quietly. Renee was on a video call again. this time with someone he did not recognize. You will get your cut, she was saying. Just make sure the contract hides the real numbers. Travis has no clue. She laughed. Travis stepped back into the shadows of the hallway. She was not just cheating. She was laundering money. Through his name. Through their marriage. The web was bigger than he thought. But that only made the takedown sweeter. That night, Travis waited until Renee fell asleep. Deep sleep, the kind where her breathing changed. He took her laptop from the living room and opened it on his workbench in the garage. Damien had already cloned the hard drive days earlier. But this time, Travis wanted direct access to Renee's working files. He entered a passcode, her birthday, their anniversary, her pet's name. Nothing worked. Then he tried Nathan's birthday backwards. Unlocked. Inside were folders labeled Legal Strategy, New Identity Docs, Discrete Contacts. One folder contained drafts of a new name, Renee Lynn Carter. She had even mocked up a social media profile. It was scheduled to go live in 6 weeks. In another folder, voice memos. Notes to herself. One hit like a gut punch. If Travis pushes back, I will tell the judge he was unstable. He has military rage. It will not be hard to fake. Travis's hands tightened into fists. He leaned forward, slow breath in, slow breath out. He copied everything, labeled it with timestamps, added it to the growing file, Operation Fallback, Final Phase. Then he opened the trash folder. Dozens of deleted files sat there, images, audio, expense sheets. One file stood out, a contract signed with a company that did not exist. He cross-referenced it with Titan Systems' internal registry. It was a front. Travis backed up everything to 2 separate encrypted drives and hid them in different locations. By morning, he placed the laptop back exactly where she had left it. Renee stirred as he walked into the kitchen. You are up early again, she murmured. Yeah, could not sleep. She yawned, pouring coffee. You work too much. I guess I just like having a routine, he said, smiling. Renee never noticed his eyes. Cold. Focused. She was already standing on a trapdoor. She just had not heard it unlock. That weekend, Renee invited Grayson to dinner. She claimed it was to discuss real estate business, but Travis knew better. He welcomed the opportunity. He spent all afternoon preparing the house, installing 2 new mics, and linking the motion detector in the living room to an auto-sync backup drive. At 7:13 p.m., the doorbell rang. Grayson walked in with too much confidence, button-down shirt open at the collar, teeth gleaming, holding a bottle of imported wine like he owned the place. Travis, he said, shaking his hand. Pleasure to finally meet you. Travis smiled. Likewise. Renee has mentioned you. Grayson smirked. All good things, I hope. Always, Travis replied, leading him to the table. Dinner was surreal. Renee played the gracious host, over-laughing at Grayson's stories, barely acknowledging Travis's presence. Grayson, for his part, leaned in every chance he got, complimenting the house, asking about Navy life, throwing subtle jabs disguised as humor. So, what is it like, going back to regular life? He asked mid-meal. Must be hard turning off that killer instinct. Travis smiled, slow and steady. It is not hard. You just need to know when to use it. The room went quiet for a moment. Renee coughed lightly, breaking the tension. After dinner, Grayson excused himself to take a call. Travis waited exactly 20 seconds before checking the guest bathroom mic feed. Grayson's voice came through. He has no idea. She is close to filing. I give it 2 weeks, and this whole thing is ours. Travis saved the file with a single tap. Labeled it, Dinner Lies, Direct Admission. Later that night, Renee leaned over him on the couch. You were a good sport tonight, she said. Travis looked up, eyes unreadable. I like meeting new people. He kissed her on the cheek and smiled. Because Grayson had just signed his confession in Travis's house, on Travis's mic, in front of a trained SEAL who never forgot a word. It was the kind of betrayal most men only imagined in nightmares. Travis sat in the attic again, lit only by the faint blue of the screen. The house was silent, except for the soft, rhythmic creaks from the master bedroom. He did not need the sound anymore. He had memorized Grayson's voice. Every cocky, arrogant word. The bedroom camera, while hidden in the ceiling vent, framed the bed just enough to see the silhouettes. Renee laughed softly. He will be gone all day tomorrow. You should stay over. Grayson kissed her neck. One day, this will be our house. Travis leaned back in his chair. Not rage. Not pain. Just purpose. He paused the feed and clipped the footage. Labeled it adultery in shared residence. In legal terms, it was powerful. In emotional terms, devastating. But the goal was not to win sympathy. It was to dismantle them. That same night, Travis added one more piece to the plan, a public timeline of Grayson's visits. Video, license plate captures, audio, all layered and synced into a single scrollable document. The next morning, he left early, drove to a quiet law firm downtown. The attorney he had contacted through Evelyn, Mitchell Carter, was waiting in a glass conference room. This is what I have, Travis said, placing the drive on the table. Carter reviewed the files. His expression hardened. This is not just a divorce case. This is conspiracy, financial misconduct, child endangerment, possibly even tax evasion. I want full custody, Travis said. And I want her out of my life with nothing. The attorney nodded slowly. We can do that. Travis shook his hand. Then let us begin. That evening, Travis cooked dinner. Not takeout. Not leftovers. A real meal. Renee walked in, surprised to find the table set, candles lit, her favorite wine already breathing in a decanter. What is all this? She asked, setting her purse down. I figured we deserved a reset, he said smoothly. Maybe find each other again before things get too far gone. She blinked, caught off guard. That actually sounds nice. They ate slowly. Renee softened under the wine, letting her guard down. She smiled more than usual, touched his hand. You have changed lately, she said, tilting her head. In a good way. I have just been thinking a lot, Travis said. About what matters. He watched her carefully. Her pupils dilated. Her breathing slowed. She believed it. She thought she was winning. But beneath the table, Travis had already activated the recorder in his pocket. Renee kept talking, casual things, small confessions. Eventually, she said it. You know, I actually think Grayson is going to propose. He says we should just get out of here and leave the drama behind. Travis looked down at his plate, then back up. Would you take Nathan? She hesitated. I do not know. Kids adjust. He would learn to love Grayson. Travis's fork clinked against his plate. Just once. A subtle movement. But inside, it sounded like a war drum. You really think that man is someone to raise my son? She froze. You said you wanted a reset, she whispered. I do, he replied. But not for us. The next morning, Travis unscrewed the cover of the light switch in their bedroom. Inside, wires, and one small black device tucked neatly behind them. The final mic. The one she never knew existed. He checked the recordings. One from 3 nights ago stood out. Grayson, once the paperwork is in, we go full throttle. You take the house. The kid, you hit him where it hurts. Renee, I already started shifting the savings. He has not noticed a thing. Travis saved the clip. Sent a silent message to Damien. Final proof secured. Then he left the house, drove an hour north to a private storage unit. Inside, files, photos, the hard drives. He organized everything into 3 briefcases. Legal, personal, financial. Each one labeled and color-coded. Each one ready for deployment. That afternoon, Travis visited Nathan's school. Sat in the truck and watched the boy run laps during gym class, full of energy, laughing with classmates. His world had no idea it was built on lies. But Travis would fix that. He would burn the lies down, completely, but without fire. With evidence. With silence. With every shred of truth they handed him. He opened his phone and started a new folder. Final phase, countdown. 30 days. That was the window. The divorce would hit them like a sniper round. Clean, silent, and without warning. because they had wired his house with betrayal. But Travis had wired it back with truth. And now it was time to pull the trigger. It was 3:17 a.m. when Evelyn sent the final summary. Travis sat alone in his office, screen glowing in the dark, reading line by line. Bank transfers, loan applications, credit fraud. Renee had forged his signature on 2 credit lines, used the money to fund her future exit, and funneled most of it into a shell corporation tied to Grayson's network. The numbers were clear. The intent was criminal. A quiet fury burned under Travis's skin, but his face remained stone. He called Mitchell Carter. "This is enough, is it not?" Travis asked. The lawyer responded without hesitation. "It is more than enough. By the time we file, she will not just lose the house. She will be facing felony charges." Travis hung up and opened a folder labeled Custody Strategy. He typed out a full timeline of events. Screen captures, surveillance timestamps, every instance of neglect and reckless behavior that could endanger Nathan's well-being. Then he attached a photo from the hallway camera. Renee drinking at 9 a.m. with a half-open bottle of wine and Nathan's school backpack still on the floor. Details mattered. Perception mattered. And he was no longer playing defense. He was building a missile, one that would hit hard, hit fast, and leave no space for them to breathe. Saturday came with blue skies and shallow smiles. Travis stood by the window, watching Renee and Grayson walk toward the car. She wore a white summer dress. He wore smugness like a tailored suit. "We will be back late," Renee called. "I am helping stage an open house." Travis smiled. "Take your time." The moment the car pulled away, he activated the live feed from the tracker under their bumper. They drove northeast, exactly as he predicted. He watched from his laptop as they arrived at a vineyard outside the city. He had already tapped into the venue's security feed using a contact from Damien. At 2:41 p.m., Grayson knelt down in front of her. A small crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. Renee covered her mouth with faux surprise, then extended her hand for the ring. She accepted the proposal before her divorce was even filed. Travis recorded the entire thing. By 6 p.m., he had clipped a highlight reel and filed it under adultery and public fraud, timestamped. That night, Renee came home glowing. He was seated on the porch, drink in hand. "How was the house showing?" he asked. She smiled, too drunk on delusion to see through the question. "Tiring. We might have dinner clients next week." "That is good," Travis replied. "You are good at selling people dreams." She froze slightly, sensing something in his tone, but he said nothing else. And her silence said everything. The house was quiet the next day. Too quiet. Renee stayed in bed until noon. Grayson was gone, ghosted after the proposal. She tried to hide her anxiety, but Travis could see it in the way she tapped her fork at breakfast, in how often she checked her phone. Something was shifting, and she felt it. Later, Travis took Nathan to the park. They tossed a football in the grass, surrounded by other parents and kids. "Are you and Mom okay?" Nathan asked suddenly. Travis paused. "Why do you ask? She seems different. And you are being extra nice. Like weird nice." Travis crouched to his level. "Sometimes people change. But you know what will not change?" "What?" "That I am always going to fight for you. No matter what." Nathan nodded. He did not understand it all yet. But he would. That evening, Travis walked into the kitchen where Renee sat scrolling her tablet. "I have been thinking," he said calmly, "about us." She looked up, wary. "I think it is time we talk about what is next." "Like, officially." She smiled faintly. "You mean divorce?" Travis nodded. "Yeah, I think it is best." She exhaled in relief. "Honestly, me too." Travis poured her a glass of wine. "Let us toast then, to the truth finally coming out." She raised her glass, thinking she had won. But across the room, the printer whirred quietly, spitting out the first draft of the divorce filing. Her name was on every page, next to the words, marital fraud, custody petition, evidence attached. The storm she built was here, and the lightning would strike in the very next chapter. It started with a routine appointment. Travis took Nathan to the clinic for a sore throat. The pediatrician recommended a swab test just to rule out strep. Standard. Harmless. But then came the small mistake that broke the world open. The nurse glanced at the chart and frowned. This is not matching. What do you mean? Travis asked. Blood type discrepancy. It is probably a clerical error, but your son's file says he is AB positive, and your type is O. Travis stared at her, chest tightening slowly. That is not possible. The nurse checked again. Unless the mother carries rare recessive traits. But even then, this would be unusual. Travis nodded slowly. Can I request a full panel? For both of us. 2 days later, the results came in. There was no biological match. Travis sat in his truck outside the clinic with the envelope open in his lap. No tears. No anger. Just silence. He looked out across the parking lot. A mother and father helped their toddler into a car seat. The father kissed the child on the forehead. Travis could not look away. Back home, he walked past Renee, who was on another call with Grayson. He is signing everything without even reading it. I told you it worked. Travis went upstairs, sat on the bed, pulled out an old photo of Nathan at age 5, smiling with 2 missing teeth, arms wrapped around his neck. You are still mine, Travis whispered. But now, Renee's betrayal had crossed into something beyond cruelty. She had built a life on lies and stolen his fatherhood. The next morning, Travis stood in the garage, staring at the photo from Vegas. Renee holding the newborn, time-stamped 9 months before Nathan's birth. He scanned the background. Hospital logo. Neonatal unit signage. He called Evelyn. Can you run a check on births at West Nevada General from that week in 2012? Sure, she replied. Name? Just Renee McGill. And maybe, see if Grayson was listed under any name back then. Logan Reese. 2 hours later, Evelyn called back. Found it. She gave birth at that hospital. Birth certificate lists no father. But here is the kicker. Grayson filed for a name change 6 months after. Same city. Travis closed his eyes. Grayson was the father. They had known the entire time. The paternity, the timeline, the plan, it was all premeditated. Travis thought back to every birthday, every scraped knee, every parent-teacher conference. All the times he carried a child that was never his. But he never felt regret. Only purpose. Because Nathan may have come from someone else's blood. But he had grown under Travis's heart. That night, Travis sat down at his computer and recorded a message. If anything happens to me, this is what you need to know. He explained it all. Clearly. Factually. Emotionally. He addressed Nathan directly. You were never a mistake. You were my greatest reason. I chose to be your father every single day. That is what matters. Then he added the files. Paternity. Fraud. Audio. Video. The entire case. He uploaded it to a secure cloud, linked to a time trigger. If anything went wrong, the world would know. This was not just revenge anymore. It was legacy. The day after the results, Renee approached him in the kitchen, soft-eyed and sweet-voiced. Travis, have you thought about how we tell Nathan? He stirred his coffee, calm as ever. Tell him what? That we are separating. That it is not his fault. Travis nodded. Of course. I have been thinking a lot about how to handle it with care. She smiled, relieved. Good. Because I was worried you would overreact. I never overreact, he said softly. She laughed. I know. That is what makes this easier. She reached across the table, touched his hand. I really do want this to go smoothly. Travis looked her in the eye, unwavering. Then do your part. Stay honest. Stay calm. And no one gets hurt. Renee blinked, sensing something behind the words. I will, she said, withdrawing her hand. Later that night, Travis found Nathan watching a movie in his room. Can I talk to you? He asked. Nathan nodded, muting the screen. There might be changes soon, Travis began. But I want you to remember something. What? You are my son. No matter what. Nothing you hear, nothing anyone says, will ever change how I see you. Nathan stared at him, confused. Okay. Travis hugged him tightly. Longer than usual. Nathan hugged back. You are being weird. I know. Travis said with a quiet smile. Just making sure you know. Because the next move would hit harder than any before. And Travis needed his son to feel protected, even as the world around them started to collapse. Travis stood at the dining table, reviewing the last of the edited footage. Each clip had been sharpened, time-stamped, and labeled clean, surgical, undeniable. He made a new file, The Drop. That night, he walked into the living room where Renee scrolled through real estate listings with a glass of wine. "I was thinking," he said calmly, "before we go official with the split, we should host one last party." Renee looked up, confused. "A party? What?" "Closure," Travis replied. "You know, show people we are still civil. Ease the shock." She hesitated. "That is actually not a terrible idea." "Good," he said. "We can invite your coworkers. Some of mine. Keep it classy." "And Grayson?" she asked. "Of course." She raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" Travis smiled gently. "I want to be a grown-up about this." The bait was set. 2 days later, invitations went out. A small gathering. Drinks. Soft music. Just enough of an audience. Travis added one guest anonymously, Tasha Lynn, a reporter Evelyn had vetted, known for exposing financial scandals. She would attend quietly, camera off, eyes open. The evening would be a celebration for Renee. She just did not know it would be her funeral. At 6 a.m., Travis sat inside a dim, quiet cafe. Tasha Lynn entered 15 minutes later. No makeup, hoodie up, face unreadable. "You are the source?" she asked, sliding into the booth. "I am the witness," Travis replied. He passed her a flash drive. "There are 47 clips. Free phone logs, bank transfers, shell company registrations. The man she is engaged to is laundering stolen funds through her listings. She knows. She is complicit." Tasha connected her tablet, reviewed 3 clips. Her eyes narrowed. "You planned this." Travis nodded. "Every minute of it." "Why now?" "Because I gave them every chance to stop. And they doubled down." She exhaled slowly. "This is heavy. I cannot promise they will air it all." "I do not need it aired," Travis said. "Just published." Tasha looked up. "There are going to be consequences." "I hope so." He slid her a second envelope. Proof of identity, background clearance, personal statement. "This is not revenge," he said. "This is correction." She closed the tablet. "I will have it live within the week." Quiet at first, then global. They stood. Tasha held his gaze. "You are going to be famous." Travis shook his head. "I just want the truth to get louder than their lies." As she walked out, Travis looked down at the empty coffee cup. One shot fired. The next would be at point blank. 3 nights later, Travis sat in his truck parked across from a warehouse just outside the city limits. Titan Systems' true operations hub. Inside, Grayson met with 2 men, suits, tense, voices low. Travis watched them from the drone feed on his laptop. The camera hovered above the roof, zoomed in perfectly. Damien's intel had been right. Grayson was offloading files onto an external drive, possibly fleeing. Travis activated the drone mic. "Just transfer the rest to the Belize account," one man said. "Grayson, and wipe the shell history before I leave." Travis captured the audio, saved it to fugitive activity confirmed. At the same moment, he texted Tasha one word, "Tonight." He forwarded the drone clip. 5 minutes later, her reply came. "Publishing in 48 hours, front page." Travis powered down the feed and drove off slowly, lights off, not looking back. By the time he reached home, Renee was already in the kitchen, humming, pouring wine like nothing had changed. "Grayson is acting weird," she said. "Thinks someone is watching him." Travis nodded. "That is probably just guilt." She smirked. "You are being awfully calm for someone going through a divorce." He stared at her for a long second. "Calm is a choice. I made mine the day you stopped telling the truth." Renee's smile faded just slightly. She sipped her wine. "Well, let us hope the next man I marry does better." "You will not marry him," Travis said quietly. Her hand froze mid-sip. "What?" But Travis said nothing else. Because the sky was already opening above her. And she had no idea the drone was only the first eye watching. The bar smelled of old wood, cigar smoke, and forgotten verdicts. Judge Ray Whitaker had not sat behind a bench in 5 years, but his reputation still echoed through courtrooms. Travis found him sitting alone in a booth, sipping whiskey like it was ritual. "You are a hard man to find," Travis said, sliding into the seat across from him. Whitaker squinted. "Travis McGill. Seal. Honorable. Quiet. Why the hell does a man like you need me?" Travis laid a folder on the table. Photos. Documents. Bank trails. Whitaker flipped through it without asking questions. When he saw the forged signature on the credit loan and the shell companies tied to Grayson, his mouth tightened. "You want legal fire," the judge said. "I want a motion filed so cold and clean they do not see it until the gavel hits," Travis replied. "You got a custody element?" "Yes. With proof she lied on medical records. Hiding parentage. I raised the boy. He is mine in every way but blood." Whitaker closed the folder. "You will need 2 things. Clean press coverage and a damn good character witness." "I have both." Whitaker stared at him. "Then you are not here for justice. You are here for a statement." Travis leaned in. "I want the court to say it out loud, that I was never the villain." Whitaker nodded slowly. "Let us make it hurt." They shook hands. No papers signed. No ceremony. But Travis had just hired the one man in the city who knew how to weaponize the law without making noise. The party was packed. Renee wore a champagne dress, heels clicking across the tile as she greeted guests. Laughter filled the room. Wine flowed like water. She had no idea she was being watched. Travis moved through the crowd calmly, shaking hands, offering drinks. In the corner, Tasha Lynn leaned against a pillar, quietly filming with a disguised cam lens in her necklace. At 8:47 p.m., Travis stepped up to the mic near the DJ booth. "Can I have a moment?" he asked. Renee turned, curious, then proud. She assumed it was a toast. "I want to thank everyone for coming. Life throws us curveballs, but grace can still exist in endings." Some people clapped. Renee beamed. Then Travis opened the folder in his hand. "This is not a speech," he continued. "This is service of divorce papers, legal, formal, and filed under grounds of financial fraud, marital misconduct, and conspiracy to commit identity theft." The room fell silent. Renee's smile died instantly. Grayson, standing by the wine bar, dropped his glass. A suited man stepped forward, Whitaker's courier. He handed Renee the envelope. Gasps echoed. Phones lifted. Flashes burst. Tasha filmed it all. Renee's hands shook. "You are doing this here?" "Yes," Travis said calmly. "Because lies should not be whispered anymore." Grayson tried to step in. "You cannot just," Travis turned to him. "You will want to call your lawyer. Your accounts are being audited by morning." Grayson froze. The crowd began murmuring. Whispers turned to judgment. Renee's face went pale. Travis set the mic down and walked away, out the front door, into the night. The first bomb had dropped, and the aftershocks were just beginning. By sunrise, Grayson's company email was shut down. His phone lit up with texts from investors, partners, and panicked employees. One word kept repeating: audit. The IRS had received Travis's evidence packet. So had the SEC. Anonymous, but bulletproof. In a downtown office, 2 agents sifted through Titan Systems transaction logs. Red flags flared across dozens of entries. Offshore transfers, ghost contractors, inflated invoices. At 10:24 a.m., federal agents walked into Grayson's glass office. "You are Mr. Logan Reese?" one asked. Grayson blinked. "That name is retired." The agent showed the warrant. "Then you are going to love this." They seized his devices, froze his accounts. By 3 p.m., every trace of liquidity he had was locked. His credit cards failed. The car he leased under a fake business name was towed from his parking lot. Meanwhile, Travis sat at home, sipping coffee. Renee barged in, face flushed, eyes wild. "What the hell did you do?" Travis looked up slowly. "Told the truth." "You ruined everything." "No," he said. "You did that. I just let the world see it." You set us up. Travis stood, calm but firm. You signed your own downfall the moment you lied about who Nathan was. You buried your own family for a man who cannot keep his name. She trembled. You do not get to play the victim. I never was the victim, Travis said. I was the witness. And now I am the evidence. She stared at him, realizing, finally, the depth of what had been done, and that none of it could be undone. That evening, Travis sat on the edge of Nathan's bed. The boy looked up from his homework. Why is Mom so mad? Travis exhaled. Because some things she hid are starting to come out. Nathan frowned. Are we still okay? Travis nodded. Yes, but I need to tell you something important. He explained gently. Not the ugly details. Just the truth. Your mom and I are separating. And I found out something about your birth. About who your biological father might be. Nathan's face twisted with confusion. Wait, so you are not my real dad. I am not the one who made you. But I am the one who raised you. And that will never change. Nathan stared at him for a long time. Then he whispered, You are still my dad. Travis nodded, holding his hand. Always. Outside the room, Renee stood by the door, hearing everything. She had broken the family. But Travis had not let it fall. He had rebuilt it around truth. And that truth was now bulletproof. The internet does not forget. 2 days after the party, a blog post went viral. She cheated on a Navy SEAL, then tried to steal his life. Tasha Lynn's expose spread like wildfire. Reddit threads, Twitter reposts, podcasts dissecting every detail. Screenshots, audio clips, footage from the party. Renee's name trended in 3 states. Her clients canceled meetings. Her real estate license went under review. Sponsors pulled back. Friends went silent. She stormed through the house, rage spilling into every room. This is your fault, she screamed at Travis. You let this happen. I showed them the truth, he said, calm as ever. You showed them everything else. She slapped a coffee mug off the table. It shattered against the tile. I loved you, she cried. I gave you my best years. You gave me lies, Travis said. And I paid for every one. Her shoulders slumped. Her voice broke. What do I do now? You live with it, he said. The same way I lived through the silence. She sank to the floor, shaking. He walked past her. No gloating, no sympathy. Just a man finally walking free through the ruins someone else made. Travis uploaded one final clip. It was subtle, quiet audio, low light. Renee laughing with Grayson on the back patio 1 month prior. He gets jumpy when he hears fireworks, she said, smirking. Like a scared dog. Seal or not, he is just broken now. Grayson laughed. Tell him to bark for his pension. That clip hit harder than the infidelity footage. Veteran groups responded instantly. Travis's inbox flooded with support. Military forums posted statements. Stolen honor is not just about medals. It is about respect. By evening, Renee's social pages were flooded with backlash. She deactivated her accounts, locked the doors, drew the curtains, but shame leaked through walls. When her mother called, the conversation lasted 6 seconds. You mocked your husband's trauma, her mother said, voice tight. Mama, it was, I raised you better. Click. That silence was louder than any scream. In court, Renee arrived with a public defender. Her original attorney dropped her after discovering the financial lies. Travis stood with Mitchell Carter, polished and precise. The judge, a middle-aged woman with eyes like steel, flipped through the documents. Wire transfers, voice transcripts, Nathan's birth certificate, Grayson's offshore accounts. Mitchell stood. Your Honor, we move for full legal custody to Mr. McGill. Immediate. We also request a financial freeze of all jointly held property until the investigation concludes. Renee stood, trembling. He set me up. He hacked my devices. Actually, Mitchell said, calm. Your client left all her illegal files labeled in plain text. We simply copied what she wanted hidden. The judge looked at her. You used your child's identity, forged federal paperwork, committed fraud across 3 accounts, and you admitted to emotional manipulation of a combat veteran. Renee whispered, I did not mean for this to happen. Travis looked at her. But you meant all of it. The judge tapped her pen once. Full custody granted. Property freeze approved. This court is not a place for games, Ms. McGill. You should have known better. The gavel came down like thunder. And in that moment, Travis did not smile. He simply exhaled. The war was almost over. Grayson's office was empty. Blinds drawn. Desks cleared. Doors locked. Titan Systems had filed for emergency dissolution. Emails bounced. Shareholders panicked. At midnight, Grayson's burner phone rang. He answered in the dark, alone in a cheap motel 2 counties away. They are freezing my personal accounts now, he snapped. The Belize wire bounced. The car lease was canceled. The voice on the other end was tired. They found the video, Logan. The one from the patio. Grayson's breath hitched. You need to disappear, the voice continued. Permanently. Because they are not just coming for your company. They are coming for you. Grayson hung up and stared at himself in the mirror. No smile now. No arrogance. Just a man out of names, out of money, and nearly out of time. He picked up his bag, opened the door, and found a process server waiting. You are Grayson Carter Reese? The woman asked, holding a thick envelope. He did not answer, but she handed him the papers anyway. Federal subpoena. Grayson closed the door slowly. For the first time in his life, he had nowhere to run. The courtroom was silent as Jen took the witness stand. She wore no makeup. Her voice was clear, calm, controlled. Mitchell stepped forward. Can you describe your sessions with Mr. McGill during the months in question? Jen nodded. Travis came to me for therapy after deployment. He never once spoke ill of his wife. Not until I started noticing inconsistencies in his emotional responses, such as, he was emotionally numbing. He suspected betrayal but did not confront it. He internalized everything, as trained. His trauma was being weaponized by someone who knew how to push those buttons. The judge leaned forward slightly. Are you suggesting emotional abuse? Yes, Jen said without hesitation. Mrs. McGill emotionally manipulated a veteran with PTSD, used his discipline against him, disrespected his service while depending on his silence. Renee flinched. Mitchell continued. Did he ever display aggression in your sessions? Never. He was restrained. Thoughtful. Hurt, yes. But dangerous? No. Jen looked at the judge. He was the most composed patient I have ever treated. The judge nodded. Thank you. Renee's new attorney tried to object, but it landed flat. Jen had made it plain. Travis had not been unstable. He had been abandoned, and carried it like a soldier. The judge requested closing statements. Travis took the stand, not as a broken husband, not as a victim, but as a father and a man who had been forced into war on his own soil. He did not raise his voice. He did not cry. I was not looking for revenge, he said. I was looking for peace. But peace cannot grow in a house full of lies. He looked at Renee, who avoided his eyes. I forgave too much for too long. I believed silence was strength. But it is not. Silence allows people like this to believe they can keep hurting others without consequence. He turned to the judge. I want what is fair. Not for me. For Nathan. For truth. The courtroom was still. Even the clerks stopped typing. Renee whispered something to her lawyer, who leaned away from her. Grayson was not in attendance. He had sent a letter through his counsel. Unavailable due to medical condition. Cowardice wrapped in excuses. The judge closed her book. Thank you, Mr. McGill. Your conduct is noted and respected by this court. As Travis returned to his seat, the entire room felt different. He had not just stood. He had risen. And nothing Renee did next could ever bring him down again. It was a Tuesday afternoon when federal agents arrived at the motel. Grayson was barefoot, half-dressed, eating cold noodles from a plastic container. There was no chase, no resistance, just a stunned man staring at the warrant. Charges include identity fraud, wire fraud, corporate misrepresentation, and conspiracy, one agent said. Do you have any idea who I am? Grayson asked, voice shaking. Yes, the agent replied. You are the reason a Navy SEAL had to prove he was not the criminal in his own house. The handcuffs clicked. Grayson was walked past reporters. Cameras flashed. Shouts rang out. He tried to cover his face, but it was too late. His face would be on screens across the country by evening. Inside a government van, he sat between two officers in silence. One of them looked at him and said, "You picked the wrong house." And the right man ruined him with nothing but truth. The real storm came not in court, but in whispers. Parents at Nathan's school stopped speaking to Renee. She showed up to open houses and was turned away. Local veterans groups blacklisted her. A petition circulated demanding her license be revoked permanently. The story made local news. Military husband uncovers wife's fraud. Protects son through legal masterclass. The footage from the party. The audio from the patio. The voice of a child saying, "He is still my dad." It played over a soft piano in the background. Renee watched it alone, knees pulled to her chest in the dark. She tried to call her sister. Blocked. Tried to visit her old office. Security denied her entry. Everything she built had been rooted in a lie, and now the roots were gone. That night, she poured herself a drink and stood in front of the mirror. The reflection stared back, tired, exposed, unrecognizable. And all she could say was one thing to herself, over and over. He never even raised his voice. Because that was the most brutal part. Travis had not yelled. He had executed. Renee moved into a 2-bedroom apartment above a strip mall. It was not what she was used to. No granite counters, no stage furniture, no air conditioning that worked on the first try. She unpacked in silence, placing framed photos carefully. Her with Nathan at age 5, her graduation picture, one smiling shot of her and Travis, back when smiles were real. She stopped at that one. Her hands trembled. She dropped it into the drawer and shut it hard. Outside, a neighbor's baby cried. The sound echoed through the thin drywall. Somewhere below, someone argued about a parking spot. This was her new life. A quiet one. An anonymous one. No clients. No Grayson. No Nathan. The court had limited her visitation. Supervised only. Once a week. When the first session came, she showed up in a pressed blouse and makeup she had not worn in weeks. Nathan walked into the community center room with Travis beside him. He looked at her, then looked at Travis, and said, "Can I just stay with Dad today?" Renee's heart cracked quietly. The counselor hesitated, then looked at Travis. He nodded. "Only if it is allowed." The counselor gave a soft nod. "Just this once." Renee watched them walk away. The boy she gave birth to now chose a man she tried to erase. And she had no one to blame but herself. 6 months later, Travis closed on a new home. Nothing massive, but clean, warm, and his. A single-story craftsman with a wraparound porch, built on 3 acres of woods and quiet. Nathan picked out the paint colors. Travis built the bookshelf in his room by hand. Every nail, every beam, was placed with purpose. One Saturday, they planted trees in the backyard. Nathan dug a hole and asked, "Why trees?" Travis smiled. "Because years from now, you will be able to stand in the shade of what you built." Nathan looked up at him. "Is that what you did with me?" Travis crouched beside him. "Exactly." They worked until dusk. No phones. No noise. Just the rhythm of earth and shovel and laughter. Inside, Travis unpacked a box he had not opened in years. His seal medals. Old mission maps. Letters from fellow soldiers. He pinned one above his desk. Never underestimate a quiet man. Outside, wind brushed the porch swing. The house creaked like it was finally breathing. It was not just a house. It was a start. And no one could take this one from him. One morning, Travis found a letter in the mailbox. No stamp. No return address. Just his name in Renee's handwriting. He opened it in the garage, sitting on the old stool where he once planned her downfall. Inside were 4 pages. Apologies. Explanations. Excuses. But one paragraph stood out. "I watched you rebuild what I broke without a single raised voice. I kept waiting for you to lose it. You never did. That is what hurt the most. Because you proved you never needed me to be whole." Travis folded the letter once. He placed it in the shredder and pressed start. The motor hummed. Paper vanished. Closure did not need a reply. He walked back inside, poured himself coffee, and watched the morning light through the kitchen window. Behind him, Nathan was packing his lunch. "Need help?" Travis asked. "Nah, I got it." He smiled, because they both did. It was Memorial Day. Travis stood at a podium in uniform, the sun warm across the cemetery lawn. Rows of veterans, families, and press sat under white tents. Behind him, the folded flags stood on wooden tables. Names were read. Silences held. Then came his turn. He took a breath, looked at the crowd. "I have worn the uniform. I have seen war. But the hardest battlefield I ever walked was the one where no one saw the fight." He paused. Silence is where too many of us bleed quietly. Betrayal, loss, grief. Not all wounds are physical. People leaned in. But strength is not in how loud we scream. Sometimes it is in how still we stand, while the storm tears everything down around us. He looked toward Nathan, sitting front row beside Jen and Mitchell. "I am still standing, because I remembered who I was, even when others tried to rewrite my story." The crowd rose, not just for the speech, but for the man who never broke. As he stepped down, Nathan ran up and hugged him hard. "I am proud of you, Dad." Travis knelt. "I am proud of us." And behind them, the flag waved, not in grief, but in quiet, dignified victory. The envelope arrived in a plain manila folder, hand-delivered by courier. Travis signed once. No hesitation. No ceremony. It was done. Divorce finalized. Custody locked. Assets legally his. He stood in the kitchen, holding the letter like a man holding silence. Nathan walked in, munching cereal. "What is that?" "Just paperwork," Travis said. "Boring." Travis chuckled. "Necessary." He folded it once, placed it in the drawer beneath the toaster, not out of importance, but because it no longer needed a place of honor. Across town, Renee stared at her own copy. Alone. No celebration. No freedom in the lines. It felt like a headstone. She called no one. Answered no one. The world had moved on, and her name was no longer in the conversations she used to control. She had one choice left: live in the truth, or stay buried in denial. But for Travis, it was not about her anymore. He stepped outside with Nathan. The grass had just been cut. Sunlight hit the porch like a spotlight. "Want to go for a drive?" Travis asked. Nathan nodded. "Can we get milkshakes after?" "We can get two." They left the past in the drawer and drove forward into a life where nothing had to be explained anymore. The courtroom buzzed with cameras and reporters. Grayson stood in an ill-fitting suit, face gaunt, eyes hollow. His lawyer read a statement of remorse, written, not felt. The judge showed no emotion. "You manipulated financial systems, defrauded clients, endangered reputations, and conspired to destroy a family through cowardice." Grayson opened his mouth. "Be quiet," the judge snapped. "You will speak through consequences now." She banged the gavel. "Sentenced to 8 years. No parole for 5. Federal facility." Gasps echoed. Flashbulbs burst. Travis, seated in the gallery, did not flinch. He had not come for revenge. He had come for closure. As Grayson was led away, their eyes met once. Grayson's look pleaded. Travis's stayed blank. Because no look, no apology, no years behind bars could buy back what was lost. But they could finally stop the bleeding. 2 months later, Travis received a letter from the Department of Veterans Affairs. A small commendation ceremony. Local honor. He nearly declined, until he saw the title of the award. Valor in Civil Integrity. It was not for combat. It was for surviving the quiet battlefield, the one no one trains for. He stood on a stage, modest suit, Nathan beside him in a tucked-in shirt and sneakers. The speaker said, "Some men serve their country with bullets. Some serve it with backbone." Travis stepped forward. Applause rose. He accepted the medal not as a soldier, but as a father who never quit. As they left the building, reporters followed. Travis shielded Nathan gently. "You good?" he asked. Nathan grinned. "Better than good." "Me too." They drove home with the windows down, wind against their faces. Nothing chasing them now. One evening, after Nathan had gone to sleep, Travis sat alone at his desk. He opened a leather-bound journal, the one he had never written in. Until now. He began with a simple line. To the man you are becoming. He wrote not about the betrayal, or the lies, or the court battles, but about grace, about strength without noise, about what it means to protect something with love instead of fists. He wrote of what it took to stay quiet in the storm, to let truth do what fists never could, to love someone enough to lose everything and still come back stronger. He wrote for the future Nathan, the man who would one day read this and wonder how his father had stayed upright when the world cracked. And in the final line, Travis wrote, "You are not mine by blood. You are mine by choice. And I would choose you every time, no matter what came after." He closed the journal, placed it in the safe, turned off the light, and finally, slept without checking the locks. Because the war was over, and peace had earned its place.